Well, I'll tell you, it's been quite a week from being in Dallas, in the great state of Texas,
Oh, wow.
and being with the women's tournament. I thought I had the energy to go back and forth from Houston to Dallas, but I said that's not a good thing.
No.
We couldn't wait to hear
No,
about
that's
it.
a long drive,
Yeah.
too. That's a long
Yeah,
drive.
well, I would have had a little quick flight, but I wouldn't
Oh,
have
you
done
know,
the
she
drive.
got it like that.
No,
Driving?
we don't
Right.
drive in between games like that. But it was great that I was able to stay with the women, my heart, my soul, and it was just an amazing tournament. And so I have a few things that came up,
Okay.
and I want to start off with the biggest one. Does Angel Reese, and for those who don't know Angel Reese in our listening audience, she is the Bayou Barbie. That's who she's accepted that title. She is the star player for LSU Tigers, who just won the national championship. She's Baltimore born and raised, and for those from the DMV area know what that means. All the good, the bad, and the ugly.
You
That's
lying
right.
about that.
A 6'3" forward with guard skills who just brings it. So my question is, does Angel Reese, she is African American, does she get a pass because she is a black woman? In the context of blacks and people of color are at the top of the list for poor outcomes and at the bottom of the list for good outcomes. Now, are there exceptions? Absolutely. But I'm talking about the collective for black people in all systems, whether it's education, healthcare, economics, media coverage. We generally don't do as well as whites and some other communities of color. So Angel Reese says that LSU won't go to the White House, right? Because the White House does the invitation for for some sports teams to have a visit after you win a championship. She says it's due to a double standard, and instead they would visit the Obamas. Now, First Lady Jill Biden was at the game, and I truly believe that she got caught up in the excitement. She doesn't appear to be very knowledgeable about the ins and outs in sports.
Yeah.
Right.
But she said the opponent, Iowa, should be invited because they played such a good game. Now, her press secretary or chief of staff walked back the comments and said that, no, that will definitely have LSU and, Iowa will not be invited in terms of their play this year, which was outstanding. Angel Reese was quick to call the proposal a joke. Mm-hmm. She also said, and she used caps in social media saying, "We not coming," period. Now, what I want to address is Angel Reese and the language that she uses. She stated that to our First Lady, Jill Biden, "You're a woman. You're supposed to be standing behind us." She also said she's pretty vocal in trying to help women's basketball gain more eyeballs, be respected in the sports industry. She said to Jill Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, "We worked just as hard as Iowa did. What even went through your mind to think about inviting them?" And then afterwards, where First Lady Jill Biden in the White Office basically said, we want LSU to be there, Angel Reese stated, "I don't accept the apology because you said what you said. You can't go back on certain things that you say. You felt like they should have come because of sportsmanship, right? They can have that spotlight. We'll go to the Obama's house. We'll go see Michelle. We'll see Barack." Using their first names, Michelle, using President Obama's first name, like they're on a first name basis. So call me old school, OG, or whatever. But I am quite uncomfortable with how Angel Reese speaks in terms of our dignitaries. So I'm going to pause right there, and let's hear it from Sports Shop.
So I agree with you 1,000% on that. It's Angel don't want to go to the White House, then she don't go. But I think LSU should go. I think the First Lady Jill Biden too, and we all agree. K-Man talks about said all the unconscious bias, just saying things that didn't really think it through, and just said it. So I'm not gonna penalize someone for doing that. It happened. Let's move on. Life moves on.
Right.
And to the extent that I'm not gonna accept your apology. I'm not feeling that one either in terms of where Angel's coming from. And again, she's 20 years old too. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as well. Which is not young, but not real old either. But yeah, I agree with you 100% about you got to treat people with respect that they have earned and deserve. And as First Lady, Michelle Obama and the President Obama, you address them that way, and not Michelle and Obama there. That no, I'm not feeling that.
Yeah, I agree totally. I hadn't even seen that.
Yeah,
so
that's
I was
good
like,
stuff.
wow.
Yeah.
And I think I've respected the fact that Reese is from the beginning, I'm just going to be true to myself. I'm living in my authentic self. So I get that, but she also got to realize you can't say everything, and I think she should, she needs somebody. Who are your people? She needs somebody talking to her. And you can't speak for a college. Like that's the coach's responsibility to decide whether or not we're going. Yeah. And so you're speaking what my grandmother would say, out of turn. You can't do that. No. So you could talk about the things that concern you. And it was good to get your thoughts on what happened, the taunting and things like that. But now that you have, all these millions of followers, you just you can be true to yourself, but watch what you're saying. And this is the president's. This is our first lady.
Yeah.
You just got to be respectful. So I totally 100% agree with you.
I agree with everything you guys just said, but as I was sitting here listening to the statements, I was listening to what you were reading off, Dr. Strowman. It just reminded me once again. As much as she wants to stand on her own and own her truth and stand in that light, there's guidance to be provided here.
Right.
Mm. There's mentorship to be provided here. Because as she was speaking or typing, I could hear the immaturity in her response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I could hear the lack of, and education is probably not, I'm probably not using it in the right context, but I'm going to just use it here. I could hear the lack of education around certain things in what she was responding to, like not understanding. You're talking about the president and First Lady of the United States. You're talking about the current First Lady of the United States, right? You don't understand what that means and what that means for your teammates to be seen in that light, to be standing in the White House to receive that award, be recognized in front of the world and the nation. You don't understand that yet because you haven't really absorbed that yet. Mm-hmm. You're still speaking like you want to be, a rapper hanging out, going to the clubs, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff. Still speaking like that, and you're processing it like that. But I'm sure someone's going to pour her to the side, hopefully her mother and others, and start providing some of that guidance to say, hey, I get what you're saying. That's cool. But you're not in high school anymore.
Right.
Because what she sounded like to me was 11th grader, 12th grader. That's what they say. Mm-hmm. They say things like that. A college sophomore doesn't start thinking. Well, let me rephrase that. They do things like that. Some of them. Yeah. But you shouldn't be thinking.
Some
like
of them 20, but they act like they're 12.
Right.
And that's part of the problem.
But you shouldn't be thinking like that.
No, I agree.
Right.
So, I agree. Yeah.
So yes. I understand her discomfort, with all of this and what went on. But all I'm saying is, and I always turn, sometimes, the younger they are, sometimes I turn the light back on all of us and say, we need to be stepping in and we need to be providing more guidance and leadership here because that's what we're witnessing play out right in front of us.
Yeah. So I'm concerned that she's not going to get the guidance.
Well, that may be true.
Yeah. But I look at our coach, Kim Mulkey, an amazing, excellent X's and O's coach, no doubt, won numerous championships. But I look at Mulkey from someone who, again, former point guard. She's a former point guard, passionate. But in terms of her guidance of young Black women, I started questioning more because of what she did with Brittany Griner, as in no statement, which she repeated again over the past week or two, no statement. And then having an Angel Reese, arguably the face of your program, and not responding to all of the chatter that's going on around the racial aspect of, Caitlin Clark's gestures versus Angel Reese's gestures. There are a number of people, white, brown, and Black, who stepped up in terms of calling this out, the ugliness of what Keith Olbermann wrote, the negative racist comments about LSU being a predominantly black team, Iowa being a predominantly white team. Kim Mulkey has not said a word about that. And is she just clueless? Is she not comfortable speaking about racial matters?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Is she afraid of her brand and saying the wrong thing? There have been people who said that she is a Trumper. She's a MAGA woman. I don't know. I don't know her to that degree. I haven't scanned her social media. But I'm just wondering whether or not LSU within the basketball program is going to do anything to help Angel moving forward.
Well, let me just say this, man. I don't know Kim Mulkey from a hole in the wall. But I will say this though, maybe she doesn't know. I mean, you mentioned that maybe you're looking for her to show some leadership with the young black women. Maybe it's something that she needs to work on. Maybe don't even know how to do it.
Exactly. That's why I said
clueless. But to the extent that I'm calling foul on the play. I'm not blaming Kim Mulkey on the actions of Angel Reese and not putting her in. Because I think Angel and K-Mac articulated really well. You did too, and I'm not. She's from an interesting city. That
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that conversation.
I'm just saying. People. I got relatives up there. I know how they roll, and I know how they articulate certain things. So I'm not surprised to hear that coming from her. So I don't know. I think it would come combination of both. But I want a whole coach up there to the point where I'm expecting her to be the leader of black women. Maybe she doesn't know how to do it or haven't learned how to do it thus far.
But in guiding her teammates, though, of what to say, what to say and what not to say, she is representative of the school. And I think what she said, she didn't even come out and even give comments about what Reese did. And, I didn't really think about that. Yeah, until now. That's pretty powerful to know. She didn't protect her. She didn't stand up for her like we were standing up for her, saying this, and this.
But my point
I'm making, her do any of that.
That's a losing battle either way.
Right.
I think.
But then I'm just comparing it to like how Dawn came out and said, "Hey, my basketball team is not thugs, and
why?
You need to change the narrative of how you."
And you know why?
Why?
Because Dawn is black. Okay. That's why.
And it's not just black.
No. Donald Trump. Let me finish. Let me finish, please. And that's why. And to the extent that Kim Mulkey is not black,
right?
Maybe she's uncomfortable or not really sure how to handle it.
How she'll be received?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying, Dr. Stro. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying it's not that Dawn is black. It's that Dawn is black and conscious. There are a lot of black people walking around, but just
that's true. I know a bunch of them. I know a bunch of them. You're right about that.
Wait a minute. There's a problem.
No problem for me, my end.
That's funny, but Dr. Stro, you're right about that. I'm glad that's a good caveat to that. You're right. You're right. That's good.
Like about 2 years ago, we did have a friend that said, "There's a problem."
I know. I was
like, what?
Seriously,
the buzz of the women's basketball is just great. It's which makes me ask the question: is any publicity good publicity?
Yeah.
The two Division I semifinal games were the two most viewed men's or women's college basketball games ever on ESPN+. The women's Final Four broke the all-time attendance record. According to ESPN, 9.9 million viewers tuned in for the title game, and that makes it the most watched women's NCAA basketball game ever across all networks.
Outstanding.
I think the Caitlin Clark, who is the star for Iowa, who's only a sophomore. Excuse me, Reese is a sophomore.
Yeah, she's
Clark
a junior.
Is a junior,
yeah.
But Clark is not eligible for the WNBA due to her age. So some people are saying this is the bird and magic because they're going to continue to elevate the game. Another side point is, Clark and Reese and probably other players have been using that gesture, "You can't see me." And I'm so glad that Jalen Rose has posted, I retweeted, that this is not John Cena's motion. This is Tony Yayo.
Yeah.
And so let's give props to Black culture once again. That's making a difference and bringing, our swag, our how we roll, how we navigate in this country to the forefront of America.
Wow.
So it's just a good overall. I'm just so glad of the attention. But I wanted to point this out.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Stroman. Just give us the overall, just being there with all this going on. You was there in the building, and just give us some sound on just how they felt and just reacting to what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
So, being a Virginia grad, it was very, very. Just be transparent. It was difficult cheering for Virginia Tech, but you put my ego aside, Virginia Cavalier fan base aside, and everybody who I met who was affiliated with the ACC, everybody's cheering for Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Even took a picture with some players saying, "Go Virginia Tech," and they're like, "You're Virginia and you're going to cheer." Yes,
wow.
Absolutely. The fan bases of Virginia Tech, Iowa, South Carolina, LSU, probably second to none.
Yep.
They just packed the stadium,
they did.
filled with glee.
Can't get away with it.
The bands were incredible. LSU, of course, has that Southern swag, so their band was probably number one in South Carolina, but LSU really brought it.
Oh, yeah.
The competition, we can't overlook the officiating. From my perspective, it was
terrible.
It was just a tough game.
Terrible.
I'm really, I don't want to say saddened, but it's tough because it was the first title game, where the referees were all women of color. And then to have that type of display.
Right.
Some people say it's because two of the referees are from the Pac-12 and they're not used to how East Coast, Southeastern Conference basketball, they bang.
That's exactly right.
They're very physical, so that's why the officiating was to say less than stellar.
And some of too, Dr. Stroman, I just feel like, not to take up for officials, but I will. The reality is, if you're not used to officiating that type of game at that level with that type of athlete, it's really, really difficult to come up to speed and figure out how to officiate in a flow of a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a person that's used to officiating, D2 basketball, and now they want to get you a shot to officiate the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I'm sure people say, "Oh, the rules are the same." It's not the same.
Right.
No.
It is not the same. So, I think that they got hit with some of that, and I'm sure they'll make the adjustment. But you could tell, and no disrespect to the officiating crew, this was not something they were comfortable doing.
No. Well, there's an unwritten rule within the SEC. The coaches have all banded together and said, we want physical play, let them bang, all of that. And I guess no one told the Pac-12 referees, or they just go with call it as they see it. And it really, really hurt the game. So hopefully people won't give up. I did read some posts of people saying they turned it off after the first quarter because of the refereeing.
What?
But hopefully people will come back.
They missed the game.
Yeah.
And the numbers reflect that too, because early on it was over 12.2 or 12.9 million, but they dropped off, and then the final number was at 9 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
9.9, almost 10.
Overall.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. Dallas, great host, great food, great beverage.
She said great beverage. I missed it, Dr.
down there with some of that yellow rose. Oh, yeah, we've been to Dallas too.
Love Dallas.
Yeah, I learned about Texas whiskey. I'm a Kentucky bourbon person.
Yeah.
But I learned about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, overall, it's great.
Yeah, we knew you was there, so I said Dr. Stroman was taking all this in, so I was happy that you was able to witness it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Legends event? Was it HBCU Legends?
Yes. So George Lynch, NBA Carolina All-Star, hosted another event as he continues to lift up HBCUs. His program is called HBCU Heroes.
Yeah.
So we were on the campus of Paul Quinn College, just a beautiful, beautiful campus.
Man, they have one of the most outstanding presidents in the world at that school. That guy's phenomenal.
Yes.
He's phenomenal.
So we were able to host the students and engage with them. I dropped a few nuggets with the students, and again, just a great time. And that's the way to do it. If you're going to go to one of these tournaments and championships, if you can engage with young people on a college campus while you're in town, I think that we should try to make that a priority whenever we can.
So basically, you're telling people don't only go to the game, but between the championship game and the semis, go visit a campus. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Extracurricular
I like it.
education, experiential. Go visit the museums, learn about the history of your community, visit a college campus or a high school class. Take the time to make those connections in between the games and the partying.
Oh, that's what's up.
That is awesome. What an experience.
Outstanding. Dr. Stroh, I want to get your comment on this real quick before we let you get out of here. What is it about, and I'm just talking about from a country perspective, because you and I, we've had these conversations in the past. What is it about watching a team of African Americans achieve such success at a high level that doesn't make us as a society or as a country overall, meaning some white, some black too, feel happy, feel excited? It doesn't move. It doesn't move the country emotionally.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it just speaks to how we've been socialized and what is the default, what is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And far too often, the norm is whiteness. And I'm not blaming this on white people. I'm not blaming it on inferiority complex of brown and black people. It's just the way this country was born and how it was nurtured. And so when we see something that doesn't look normal, that goes against the default, the patterns and associations, the implicit biases that we have, we pause, we hesitate, we become paralyzed. So the more that we can lift up brown and black people, the more we can lift up women, the more we can lift up those who've been historically marginalized, it's better for everybody. It's just absolutely better. And when we are lifted up, I will add that we need to be respectful. We need to show grace and walk boldly in our accomplishments. But I'm old school. I'm not for, all the unnecessary trash talking. Just play your game. Just play your game and let the scoreboard show who's the champion, who is dominating. So it doesn't matter for me what race you are or what age you are. What we're learning from the NBA players, Steph Curry, what's it, Pat Beverly telling LeBron James, you're not tall enough, you're too short. All that stuff is just gone down to the children, and I find it to be really, really, I find it just unnecessary and uncomfortable.
All right. Well, there it is,
Wow.
Dr.
There
Stroh.
it is. D. Stroh.
All right. As always.